All right, everybody, welcome to section 1 of intermediate filmmaking. And man, there is so much to do in this workshop. So we really hope that you're ready. We're gonna be getting a lot of really cool stuff done. This is a great workshop as far as projects goes. You're gonna be doing a lot of really fun things, putting a lot of techniques into practice here. So we're excited. So we're gonna dive in here at the beginning of this section and explain just a few things about why we're going where we're going. And the first idea is, why is film important? I mean, after all, you're taking intermediate filmmaking. Obviously, film has to be important for some reason. So let's talk about why. And when we talk about films, really what a film is a film is just a story. It's a story, but it's shown with motion pictures. And so a story can be a really powerful tool to communicate. You can communicate truth through a story. A story is painted in a certain way. It kind of provides an overall image for a truth kind of statement. Rather, you could just tell somebody, well, here's the truth of this. But if you tell it in a story, it paints a picture of it. I mean, Jesus did this all the time with stories. He would use parables to illustrate truths. And you can look at the parable, and there can be so much more meaning in the parable than just hearing a statement of truth. So stories can communicate truth. They can elicit emotion. Stories can do that. You can read a story. It can break you up inside. It can make you angry. It can make you happy. It can make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. It can make you afraid. I mean, stories can do crazy things with emotions. And when you combine the story in a film style, then man, you really can do some incredible things as far as emotions go. And another thing that stories can do is they can make people act differently. It can propel them into changing the way that they act, the way that they behave. A person can be one way, contact the story, and then by the time the story is done, they can be a different person at the end. They might have changed something about the way that they believe and the way that they do things just because of a story. So stories are super powerful. So when we dive into filmmaking, the goal of filmmaking is to tell powerful stories. So when we dive into intermediate filmmaking, that's the goal, is to move you from a good storyteller into an even better storyteller using film. So that's what this workshop is really all about, is making you a better storyteller using motion pictures. Now we're going to talk about a lot of advanced things in this workshop, and we're not necessarily going to recap a whole lot that was in basic filmmaking. So if you didn't take basic filmmaking and you're just diving into this workshop, you may consider going back and taking that one first, because we're just not going to do a lot of recap. We're going to assume in this workshop that you know all the stuff that we talked about in the first one. Now, if you're an avid filmmaker already and you already know a lot of terms, we have provided a quiz for you, and you can take that quiz, make sure that everything sounds familiar, that you understand the concepts that we've laid out, and as long as you can do that, fantastic, you're good to go. So just make sure, take the quiz that's below, and make sure you're good. As long as you're good, then we're good. We can have a successful workshop here. And so with that being said, let's talk about documentary filmmaking. I know it's section 1, and man, we're just getting involved, but this workshop is really going to focus on documentary filmmaking. And the reason why is that when you're making films, sometimes having some parameters that are in place, some rules, so to speak, that are already in place that you have to work within that confined space, it can really help you become a better filmmaker. If you just dive out there and you start making films and they have no rules and the sky's the limit, you can make a lot of really cool films, but it might not be as helpful as having to learn how to work in a confined area. If you can work and do excellent work in a confined area with confined rules and limits, then you can really get better at telling stories.